Hola Bandidos, what's rolling? Welcome to Mel's Magic Official. I'm Magic Mel and this is Al, my spirit guide. Welcome to episode 4 of season 7. Okay, I didn't get it mixed up. Yes! Happy Sunday, guys. Happy Sunday. Okay, I'm super excited because I have a new setup. You can't see it. Maybe I'll post a picture I think I did, no? Yes, I did. A backstage photograph because I have a whole light setup going on here. There's a ring light. Yes, we're pro. There's another light here, and I'm taking advantage of the rest of the Sunday afternoon light, which is coming in from the window. So I love it. It's looking professional here. That's update number 1. Number 2, okay, I made a little list because sometimes I'm so excited, my thoughts go all over the place. My second thought, no, first of all, I want to thank, honestly, guys, all of you who give me a donation. You can't believe how happy it makes me. I mean, it shows your appreciation, and it's just this realization, oh my God, there's actually people out there who listen to my episodes and resonate with what I have to share. So it's amazing. It's amazing, and your donations really, really help me to keep this channel going and inspiration flowing because honestly, guys, I'm winging it in the sense of I had to let go of so many. I guess we're all in it, no? We're all in this process of letting go of what no longer serves us and striving for, reaching out for, and taking the necessary steps to embody our highest excitement, our passions. And Mel's Magic Official is my passion product. It honestly is. So I started, I think November 2022. Get so muddled with time. Anyway, it was 1.5 years ago I started because I wanted to share. I made a pact with the highest. Now, if you go back to season 6, there's an episode where I speak about my journey. It's in 1 hour long, so it's a bit of a massive episode. But I wanted to share where I was coming from with this channel, why I decided to make this channel. And some of the details are there. Not everything, because it's a lot, no? But I cover some of the main points. But the main point being really is that I made a pact with the highest when I was at the end of my wits, down in the depths of despair, and I couldn't take one more day in this state of absolute psychological, emotional, physical terror that I was in. And I had to humble myself. And I said a prayer. And the prayer was a prayer I remembered from Catholicism, or at least what I was given when I was a child. And it was something like, Lord, I'm not worthy to receive you, but just say the word and I shall be healed. And I took that prayer and I kind of edited it a little bit because I thought, you know what? I am worthy to receive you. So I said, okay, if you guys exist, angels, God, if you exist, then please hear my prayer. Lord, I am worthy to receive you. Just say the word and I shall be healed. And I asked for healing. I asked for help because I was at the end. I was at the edge, honestly. And I did say, I made a bit of a pact. I did say, look, if you do help me, I will use this for something good. I will use my entire experience, my journey for something good. And part of the inspiration that came afterwards was to open this channel. And ironically, first I put it off because I was like, okay, I want to be prepared. I need to have a structure. I need to know what I'm going to say. I need to have a curriculum. That was like Magic Mel bringing out her teacher hat. Until one day I was so tired of my own resistance. I just said, you know what, Melanie? You are special, but you're not that special at the same time. Just start the goddamn channel. Just start talking. No one's gonna listen to you anyway. In the beginning, just talk and see how it goes. Go with the flow, and that's actually an advice for you guys, especially creatives, and we're all creative. Don't block yourself. Get the ball rolling. Just take that initial step. Be the so-called fool in the tarot, and that's actually one point I want to talk about later because I listened to a YouTube video from Eternalized. I've mentioned his channel in my last video, so I love nurturing myself with material that feeds my soul and my mind. And I love Jungian psychology, and he goes very deep in his videos. And one of the videos was about the fool, the archetype of the fool. And it makes so much sense now. I'm going to go into it a little bit later, but first I wanted to say, I told myself, at the beginning of launching this channel, I said, Melanie, just be the fool, roll the dice, go with it. Don't take yourself so seriously, because part of this approach or attitude where we want to have everything literally under control and planned out and have an oversight is that we want to be in control. We're scared of stepping into the unknown without knowing exactly what will happen. In any case, back 1.5 years ago, I just said I'm going to start this channel and see how it rolls. And I've been enjoying it. And I'm enjoying it even more now, knowing that you guys are here. We're forming a community and a tribe. So all to say that I appreciate you guys. I want to give a shout out to Barnaby. Thank you so much for your donation. And of course, everyone here who's watching, Organic Rebecca, Adam, Indigo, JC, and Suze Marie. I'm catching a few names of people who've been commenting, and you watching right now. Yeah? So that's me at the moment. And as I've grown and gotten to know myself also through these videos, I keep on having more ideas on how I can expand, how I can improve. And I actually want to welcome your suggestions too. My latest innovation is this ring light, which you can't see, but I'll post another picture just to, make it look, well, not only about the looks, but also in terms of lighting. Sometimes I get so stressed that, I have to calculate when the sun is at a certain angle so I have sufficient lighting. And I want to give myself more freedom, more liberty to record maybe even evenings like now. Can you see it's getting a bit dark? So the light helps me to keep the show going. No? So if you have any suggestions, any recommendations, I'd love to hear your comments. Otherwise, again, here we are just constantly evolving and giving ourselves permission to experiment and to improve and to enjoy also every single step of the way. And that's actually one thing, often if I look back at my videos, I chuckle at myself. Sometimes I cringe. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I said that, or I can't believe I looked like that. And at some point I was like, maybe I should just delete my previous episodes because there's not many views and, there's this cringy feeling. But I thought, no, we're not going to do that because I think I did make a mistake. I threw away 12 journals of my transformation out of the depression in my Marie Kondo sprint. It was a conscious act, but I can live without it, but I thought, well, maybe I could have saved them because you never know, down the line, it might be useful to look back on that process. So I don't want to commit the same, it's not mistake, but action with the videos here and delete my previous episodes because it serves as an archive. And I feel there's beauty in the process. There's beauty in allowing ourselves the grace of making mistakes and just unfolding step by step, not putting our value in the perfect final outcome product, but literally in the process and validating every step of the way. I feel that's so important, again, in our creative endeavors and with ourselves in general. We're so harsh with ourselves. Again, taking this comparison of a little child now that's learning how to walk. We don't, if the child falls down, we don't kind of scold it and say, how dare you not walk perfectly? You're expected to walk perfectly. We encourage the child, ideally, and say, hey, you can do it, and we're here, we're watching you. Then when it comes to ourselves, we get so strict with ourselves and scold ourselves if we make a misstep or make a mistake. And, in the larger sense, we're born whole, but we're not born perfect. And it was never about perfection. Because without perfection, if there's no imperfection, there's no room for life to evolve. So in that sense, our imperfection is perfect in the scheme of the universe because it allows for expansion, it allows for discovery, it allows for just the process of growth, and that being the point of it all. Went a little bit of a tangent. Okay, I'm going to look at my notes. Yeah, I'm going to look at my notes. Another thing I realized is I want to announce that already. I'm going to open a Patreon because these videos are one way of me sharing, but I feel I can go more in depth with you guys who really want to support me and follow me. Yeah, so watch out stay tuned for my shout out in the community board about my Patreon if you feel like supporting me on there as well. Vale? So keep that in mind. And for anyone who's new here, Magic Mel is a joy coach, life coach, soul guide, dancer, alchemist, visual artist, and explorer of life, and embodying the Fool archetype with, what's the right word? With honor? No, not with honor. Kind of claiming that archetype. Okay, let's go a little bit in there because I feel like it's coming up from my subconscious. Oh, wait, another announcement. I had a beautiful talk today with Claudia Chan. So if you're on, no, not on Instagram, if you're on Facebook, there's a Facebook Live. I've made it public about our talk. And Claudia encouraged, because it's Asian National Heritage Month, May, she approached all of us Asians, or half Asians, like in my case, to talk about how our cultural context has formed us or informed us or molded us. And Claudia and I today spoke about the whole topic of guilt and expectation, overcoming guilt and expectation. Now, that's not, I guess it's a human dilemma, but we talked about it specifically in relation to, for example, my Filipino heritage and Claudia's Chinese background. So it was super interesting. And it also made me realize, one way of me communicating is here talking to you like this, but it's kind of, it's not a two-way stream, although I'm thinking of how we can do that. I have tried a YouTube live once, but then I guess because you guys didn't know about it, there were only like 1-2 people popping in. Yeah, there wasn't much of a dialogue. I would like a dialogue, basically. That was my conclusion after my talk with Claudia, because one thing is talking to you like this. Another thing is literally having a dialogue, a conversation where, with presence and with compassion and with our whole being there, it creates something organically alive, talking about process. We dive into a topic and it unfolds in beautiful ways to bring up these pearls of wisdom. So that's another thing I want to think about here in terms of expansion, how to create more of a dialogue between you guys and me. Okay, so we did the talk, and I have a note here. It says joy and fool. Yes, I've talked about it a little bit in some of my videos, but the whole notion of being joyful and foolish is an invigorating one. So I told Claudia also, because she asked me, Mel, where does this joyful spirit of yours come from? And I told her that actually prior to 2019, prior to my massive breakdown, I wasn't connected to my joy. I was very much, it's like the opposite. You won't believe it. It's almost like I was taking myself too seriously. Like life was hard. Melanie was a serious artist. Everything felt heavy to the point where I think I mentioned I had these golf balls that were externalizing the heaviness that I was carrying inside of myself. So I was always feeling tense and burdened, literally. And it was only after this process of creating some space and choosing to let go of what no longer served me, the narratives that no longer served me, the voices that no longer served me, the weight that I was carrying that no longer served me, that I was able to connect or feel lighter. Because if you think about it, and if you look at the emotional scale, joy is up there, no? And that is not to say, basically I told Claudia, I can only be this joyful because I've been on the other side of the spectrum. I've been in the mud. The Buddhist metaphor of the lotus coming out of the mud. So I've been down in the depths of the mud, struggling with the mud. And I value the denser emotions of guilt, resentment, of just heaviness in general. I value it because if it weren't for that psychic material, I wouldn't have been able to alchemize the energy and yeah, the vibrations into something higher. And looping back to the Fool archetype, if you look at, those of you who are also interested in tarot, if you look at the major arcana suit, so it starts with the Fool's journey. So the Fool is this archetype of literally the person who doesn't take him or her or themselves too seriously, and just, rather than overthinking or ruminating about the next endeavor, they just say, okay, you know what, while you're sitting there thinking, I'm going to take the first step, boom, you know, in the trust that the next step will be revealed in the journey and that it's okay to make mistakes. That's what I want to hone in. The Fool allows him, her, themselves to make mistakes, because how can we grow if we don't make mistakes, if we don't know and figure out what doesn't work? Everything serves us in the larger scheme of things. And the Fool is the first step of an adventure. So it's a necessary archetype, it's a necessary energy. And if you relate it back, if you've read, I know it's a cliche book, you're probably going to roll your eyes, but if you have read The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, again, it's this archetypal journey of Santiago the shepherd going on this discovery, this adventure, where he ends up at the end back in his home yard. Maybe, okay, if you haven't, okay, I might just say it. Read the book anyway if it resonates. But basically, he finds a treasure in his own backyard. So the Fool is only able to be the Fool because he realizes, he does this journey, he completes the 22 major arcana steps to complete the cycle, to end up back where he was, but not the same. Meaning to say that, you know, let's say in the scheme of our human life, as a child, we're foolish. Now we're not so self-conscious. We just follow our intuitions, our instincts, our impulses, and then our persona gets formed and we're like, oh my God, what is everyone thinking? Then we get all paranoid. But then when we go through this alchemical inward journey where we're forced to go through several ego deaths and our personality disintegrates because it no longer serves the evolution of our soul, the energy that's liberated is the Fool. And you realize, oh my God, I made this journey only to come back full circle to my own center. And I allow myself to be childlike again because I realize that nothing is that serious. Yeah? And that being too serious and carrying the world on our shoulder doesn't serve us nor anyone. There's a goddess, Lila, from the Divine Feminine deck. When the card comes up, she reminds me, creation is play. Don't take yourself too seriously. Again, doesn't it happen to you whether you're a writer or a painter or any creative endeavor, we kind of get stuck sometimes when we force it, no? It better be perfect. It has to be perfect piece. I mean, I've done it so many times. I've killed my creative flow or blocked it because I demanded perfection out of it, rather than just allowing the playfulness to take care of the process itself. But the whole point is that we can only be playful, again, if we grant ourselves this grace of making mistakes, of being childlike again, and if we trust. And isn't that the topic that I always circle back to, also this trust in life? Because again, seriousness and control and forcing things often comes from an underlying core of fear, wanting to control things, wanting to predict, wanting to know. And that is not something to judge. It's just part of our ego, our humanness, to want to know. But so much of life is just a mystery. I mean, most of life is a mystery. And we can only flow with it and appreciate it for that, and use our gifts in the creative way if we allow ourselves to flow in the playfulness of our foolish, childlike, joyful energy. What do you think? I mean, think about it. That's why, every day I seize the day with joy, like a fool. I look at my day as a completely new slate, a new canvas. There's one's over there, a blank canvas, because it is. And because when I get too serious, I look back to that breakdown and the hellishness and the heaviness and the suffering and the pain to remind myself that I never want to go back there, and that it's because of that terrifying experience that I'm able to, it's because of that I'm able to be joyful now, because it reminds me of the heaviness of seriousness. And it reminds me of the joy of being alive, guys, honestly. I try my very best to not take any day for granted anymore. I try my very best to be present every day, with every moment, with gratitude and joy, because to be honest, I don't know what's going to come. And if I can lay my head on my pillow every night and respond to the two questions I always pose to myself: did you find joy, and did you bring joy? If I can say yes to both of them each day, then my conscience is clean, then my being is light, then I can take on another day. And that is all we're asked to do, day by day, moment by moment. Otherwise, we overburden ourselves with the projections of the future, with the weight of the speculation of the future, with our fears from the future. And while we're doing that, we're robbing the joy of the present moment. So the fool, I guess there's some wisdom in being the fool. And I can appreciate that, because I used to be so much up in my head, just in my mind, and actually justifying my overthinking that it's the right thing to do, that the intellect has all the answers. And now I appreciate the intellect for what it is. It is part of our being, and there's so much that can come out of it. But the intellect does not beat imagination, nor does it beat the wisdom and the intelligence of our other parts, which is our intuition, our soul's guidance. And that guidance doesn't come via the intellect. I mean, sometimes I get insight flashes, like sentences, or I hear a voice. But that insight is not a product from thinking and intellectualizing. It's literally when I calm my mind and I'm probably doing something completely different, like tinkering in the garden or going for a walk, that these flashes of insight come, because my ego defenses are down. I'm literally not overthinking, I'm just open. So we're able to be joyful when we step out of the mind of this constant storytelling. And I love storytelling, but sometimes we need to give it a break to receive, and to allow ourselves to enjoy being. So I can't help going off on a tangent, guys, but I think it's part of Mel's magic. But still, joy, I take joy seriously, because I also know from experience that being miserable and being stuck in my suffering doesn't help me nor anyone around me. What I do know is that if I am in my joyful energy, I'm more able to share. I'm more willing to be generous, because I myself am okay. So if joy is on the upper scale of the emotional and the vibratory frequency scale, then there is a point to it. there's also a correlation between being in this joyful state and us magnetizing the right opportunities. Because when we're happy, the universe is like, oh, you're actually feeling good and happy. I'm going to give you more reasons to feel good and happy. That's why gratitude also works now. Because when we say, oh, thank you for this and thank you for that, the universe is like, oh, you're grateful about what you've got. I'm going to give you some more to be grateful for. See what I mean? It's all related. Yeah, I make it a point to really laugh at myself sometimes. And not out of a sense of deprecation. Not sure if that's the right word, but I know you know what I mean. But out of a sense of compassion. Because at the end of the day, I am only a human being trying to figure things out just like everyone else. And that's okay. And there's beauty in that too. So why not do it joyfully? I don't really ascribe to, the myth of Sisyphus, this figure who is pushing up a huge boulder, a huge stone up this mountain. Once the stone reaches the top, it falls down again. He has to do the same thing again, over and over again. The underlying statement being that, just you got to plow through life and don't complain about it. Even if the ball keeps on falling down, just do it because that is life. Yes, but why not do it joyfully? So I'm also not saying deny the pain and the suffering and only have toxic positivity. Oh, that's a whole other topic I want to go in. Because that is denying the other side of life, which is pain and suffering. But actually, it's the pain and the suffering that reminds me every day, I'm still here and this is a reason to be joyful. Or in other words, what reason do I have not to be joyful? And that humbles me because it reminds me of how privileged I am. I mean, in a literal sense, I feel privileged, but also knowing that we're not here forever, knowing that in a way our days are counted on earth as soon as we're born. As soon as we're born, our days are counted. Why not experience joy? Why not do things joyfully? Why not come from that energy? Even if the only reason is that it feels better. Do I grant myself the freedom of letting go of my struggle, of my pain? And I know that's a process. You might say, imagine me, I'm literally in pain. I get it. But at some point, or in a certain situation, there is a choice point in the sense of how we look at things, how we choose to approach the situation. Even if it's just a mental one of choosing our thoughts or our perspective, it can switch the entire narrative. And in my own experience, that was part of the conversation with Claudia, there was a point where in my healing process where I didn't allow myself to let go of the baggage of guilt. There was some kind of masochistic aspect in me that felt not only safer, but actually weirdly enjoyed this sense of heaviness and guilt. It didn't allow me to release it until I did ask myself at some point, don't you love yourself enough to let go of the guilt? Haven't you suffered enough? Haven't you punished yourself emotionally enough for what you think you've done wrong? Do you give yourself the grace, forgive yourself for that, and set yourself free? When I came to that question point, intersection, I really had to look at myself. Do I love myself enough? And that's when I let it go. It had to do with the relationship with my mom. I felt so guilty that for all the mistakes and for all the ways I hurt her. And it was really like sitting heavily in me. But at the end of the day, the guilt can, if we do something wrong and then we feel guilty, it helps us to correct or to self-reflect, to see, okay, if I'm feeling like this, why am I feeling like this? Did I hurt the other person? What did I do to basically to gain some perspective so as not to repeat the same situation? But guilt becomes toxic when we let it fester into this shameful, judgmental voice in us that basically makes us feel shame. So there you go. I'm sharing another instant of mine of how I worked through all of this internal emotional mud to reach my joy. And another point I want to make here is watching the videos from Eternalized and his musings or his discovery of Jungian psychology. I love Jung. I love him so much. Also because I do dream analysis. I have a dream analyst. I take my dreams seriously because they're my subconscious talking to me, personal and collective subconscious. But basically, there is a joy in coming home to ourselves. Again, this notion of being the fool as a child, and then we become serious, and then we're the fool again when we realize nothing is that serious. There's also joy in discovering who you are, not despite or because of all of the tension and the pressure and the conflicts that kind of forged yourself. That is actually the process of individuation, coming home to yourself, being in alignment with your soul, and just basking in the joyfulness of your own being. That brings me joy. I'm joyful ever since I reconnected with myself again. And that's also a point I want to make to you guys. It serves you personally and it serves the world at large, because us coming back in touch with ourselves, our joyful energy affects the collective. It really does. Being in our joyful energy also allows the divine to interact more with us because we're more open on that frequency, and to co-create. Because the divine is, the universe is waiting. No, it's not really waiting because it's like pushing us along in our expansion, but it's wanting to co-create with us, to use us as vessels for ongoing creation, joyful creation. And that, no, I'll leave that for the next episode. It's too much already. How long are we doing? 30 minutes. Okay. Okay. In any case, I have more to say about joy and individuation, but let's leave it at this so it's somehow digestible. Yes, and the ring light's still working because it's already a little bit dark, but I'm still lit up. Well, also from the inside, but also from the ring light. Okay, so for everyone new on Mel's Magic Official, welcome, welcome, welcome. So happy to have you here. And for all my long-term followers, super appreciate you. I appreciate all of your comments, your likes, your subscribes, and your sharings with friends and family who you might feel resonate with my channel, with my voice and my messages. And yeah, guys, we're rolling a season 7, episode 5 coming up super soon. I'm a coach, you know that. If you don't, here we go. Joy coach, soul guide, tarot reader. If you're interested in any coaching or tarot readings, please email me. I leave my email in the description box below. And stay tuned for the next episode and also for my Patreon, so we can interact perhaps more intimately, closely. And yeah, you can get some extra jewels from Mel's Magic Official and Magic Mel. It's one crazy universe here. Okay, guys, let's keep it at that. See you for the next episode. Muchos saludos. Os mando un super beso and stay tuned.